There are so many harms and dangers of not seeking knowledge. If you remain ignorant, then you have so many dangers. You will be putting your Iman first and foremost at risk. If you do not seek knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you do not learn your aqeedah, and you do not learn the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you will be putting your Iman at risk. And this is a fact that we all know, and we are aware that many Muslims nowadays, they have doubts in their Imans, and one of the core reasons is that they don't have the solid foundation of the knowledge. They do not know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is not only that our youth are suffering and they're struggling with the Iman, even elders. Our elders, some of elders, they have doubts in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And one of the core reasons for that is that they never sought knowledge. They never study the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They never study the aqeedah. They never study the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we constantly hear people saying that don't talk about the aqeedah because this is something that divides the community, unfortunately. Na'udhu billahi min dhalik. Whereas we know that tawheed and Iman is the foundation of our religion. How can you ignore your aqeedah? How can you ignore your Iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How can you unite the community and the Muslim and the Ummah on anything other than the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? As a Muslim, we have our duty, and it is our responsibility. It is fard upon every single Muslim to seek the knowledge of Iman billah, believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is not, my dear brothers and sisters, it is not sufficient to say that I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is alone and He alone deserves our worship. Yes, this is the very first step that you have to take in order to enter into the fold of Islam. But it does not mean that it is enough and you stop there. No. If this was the case, then why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed 1/3 of the Qur'an talking about His tawheed? 1/3 of the Qur'an. And this is the reason that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Suratul Ikhlas, one single short surah is equivalent to 1/3 of the Qur'an. What do we find in Suratul Ikhlas other than the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How many times actually we have made efforts to pick up the copy of the Qur'an and to go through the translation of those ayat, particularly those ayat that talk about the tawheed of Allah Dhul Jalal. So this is one of the dangers and one of the harms of not seeking knowledge, that you put your Iman at risk.